We are rolling along into the final moments of our Big Ten Football Media Day coverage here in Las Vegas. Sherrone Moore, the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, visiting with the president of BTN, Francois McGillicuddy. Love that. A year removed from a national championship, the Wolverines went 8-5 a season ago, but as Coach Moore said on the podium, we are ready to put on a show, and they've got a lot of the big pieces in place. Obviously, the biggest headline in the offseason was the arrival of Bryce Underwood, but Sherrone Moore has also made it clear that the quarterback competition is open. Mikey Keene brings a lot of experience from Fresno State. I do know he's gotten a few Bryce Underwood questions here today. Sherrone Moore joining us on set, back with Howard and Jake. And maybe we should just get it right out of the way. How many more can we ask you? Yes, you know. No, we'll just welcome to Las Vegas. It's great to see you, Coach.
Great to see you too. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, and we had a great time visiting with your players, which we'll get to in a little bit earlier today. But one of the things that you made mention of, and I know you've talked about, is just the growth of going through your first year as a head coach into year two and some of the things that you learned. So as you reflect back, you know, when you took some time in the offseason, what were some of those things?
Yeah, a lot of great lessons I learned. First, the delegation factor to our staff. And, one, I just like to give a great shout out to our staff and what they did and the job they did to hold everything together. When you go through adversity, you really find out who you are. Everybody was happy, and there was no quarrels or anything when you go 15-0 and win a national title, but you really figure out who you are as a program and the culture you built when you go through some adversity. And we figured out that we got great young men on the field and great leaders off the field. So I learned that. I learned that we got a great team, and it's just carried over into the spring and the winter cycle, spring, and then into the summer.
Coach, we talked about signing Bryce Underwood. You've shouted out your staff. We were together at the golf outing on Monday, and it feels like there's absolute commitment behind you. I know you're a confident guy already, but what does that do for your confidence to see the top-down commitment, even from outside the program?
Through the roof. We always talk about alignment. Great programs, great organizations. It's 99% alignment, 1% vision. And I have a vision of what I want, and I try to show that to our staff and give that to our staff. And it's the staff's job. It's everybody shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm to do that as a cohesive unit. And to see what we've done so far, to see what the players have done so far, especially this summer, it's been awesome to watch. So we got 6 a.m. conditioning test tomorrow morning. And it's going to be fun.
To that, Jake?
I think I'm going to miss that.
If you go to the golf outing.
Bring Jake.
I'll call you. You can tell me about it, though. Yeah.
We got that tomorrow morning. And then we got report day next Tuesday. And then get into the hotel, and we're getting a bunker. And we'll be there on Wednesday and ready to go for training camp.
Talk a little bit about your support staff, nutrition, strength and conditioning. They're doing a lot of innovative things that are getting your players prepared for that conditioning test and also the season.
Yeah, Justin Tress has done an unbelievable job as our strength coach and his whole staff. And the things we've done to change what we've done before and manipulate and make us even better. We hired a sports scientist with Zach Higginbotham. He's done an outstanding job with his role and the things we can do to be creative and setting up practice schedules, but watching guys and seeing the tolls and takes that they hit and how fast, not only how fast guys are running, but the output and input that they're putting on the field. And then Abigail O'Connor and her staff from a nutrition standpoint and how the body mass index has changed throughout the summer and what they've done. It's been awesome to see and awesome to watch. So all that is great, but we got to go play football on Wednesday and see how that's going to impact us as a football team.
So you made the decision, you made the hire to go get Chip Lindsey, and usually when you bring in a coordinator, you say, hey, he's an air raid guy, and he has some air raid background, but he also has the Todd Monken run game, a bit of a unique blend. How do you envision this offense factoring in the talent you have starting for you?
Balance, that's the thing we want. You always want that in an offense. I think everybody says that, but we truly want to emulate that because I think that really gives you the chance to be an explosive offense when you have balance, when you can keep people off guard. So the things that Chip has brought in is not only, different things in the run game, but different variations of schemes in the passing game, and the way he teaches the quarterback, the respect he has for our team, the respect he has for the offense, and he's a true leader of men. And I think when you have that for an offense, the guys really go behind that and they can rally behind that.
I know all of that's going to be great, but it all starts up front on both sides of the ball. Talk to us a little bit about what you've seen in the development of the defensive line and also the offensive line.
The defensive line is going to be deep. I firmly believe we got 10 guys that we can play and we can rotate on the defensive line, which is hard to stop, hard to deal with. And on the offensive side, they've grown as close as they ever have been. Last year we replaced all the starters. We actually lost 6 guys on the offensive line. We had 6 guys with the combine. So whenever that happened, there's going to be a hiccup. There's going to be something that has to happen to get them better. And the experience that those guys have had on the field is tremendous. And to watch them grow this offseason and become closer as a team and become closer as a group has been special.
When this program took that next step, a big part of it was behind your leadership as the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator. You handed that responsibility off to one of my former teammates, Grant Newsome. Year 1 as the offensive line coach last year. He's now entering year 2. How does his growth, and what have you seen him grow, how does that factor into the offensive line success?
Yeah, let's not talk about Grant too much because I want to keep him for a long time. He's a superstar. He's a superstar in the business. He's young, he's charismatic, he's intelligent, he's smart, he's a great human being, a great leader, and he does everything the right way. And I'm just glad we got him as our O-line coach. But to watch his growth as a leader of that whole room, because it's hard to coach that room. You got a lot of guys and large humans in that room. Yeah. Now, he's a large human, too. He's all a 6'7", 280 pounds. Grant, don't get me mad if I got your weight wrong. But he's done a great job of bringing that room together and building a unit that I think could be successful on Saturdays.
I think one of the things that when people watched the offense last year, a criticism would be, okay, what about the guys on the outside? We're not going to talk about the tight ends because I know Jake's going to get to
I got that in my notes,
But
yes.
the wide receivers, how have you seen them grow? Because the talent is there, and it's not always just on the wide receivers. It's sometimes can be just about the scheme and just not being able to mesh.
Yeah, I think the big thing we've seen is a new attitude, a new mindset in that room. Bringing a guy in like Donovan McCulley has really pushed that room because he's an explosive playmaker. He's made the down-the-field plays that we wanted to see from our room, and he's led to make guys like Fred Moore and Samaj Morgan and Channing Goodwin and Kendrick Bell, step up their game. And it's going to be fun to watch those guys take the next step in our offense.
I love talking to you just because there's so much depth to the program, and another guy that really helped the program push to the next level was Biff Poggi. Mm-hmm. And having him back on staff, what has he meant to you, and what does he mean to this team?
Yeah, Biff's been awesome for me. Just a guy that's obviously had a strong career in high school ranks and then in college, and what he did when he came back. Initially when I was here in 21 and we had Biff back, I was like, this dude is phenomenal. Just all the things, he's a problem solver in every way, and he takes off a lot of things off my shoulders that I don't need to do that he allows himself to do, and he puts himself in. And the players trust him, the players love him, and he does a lot of things to help our program be successful.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the freshman quarterback.
I just want to say,
okay.
I really give you guys. We got like 10 minutes into this before bringing it up. So congratulations.
But really, how has he come into the program? I had a chance to watch him, but he doesn't seem like he's a big time. He's coming in big time, and the players seem to gravitate to him as well. And how have you seen that play out behind the scenes?
Man, the coolest thing I think Max Bredesen said to me when he first got there, he's like, Coach, I really wanted to say I really did. He's like, but I freaking love him. Yeah. I love him. Actually, he's going to be his roommate in training camp. He just does everything right, works his tail off. He's a tireless worker. I mean, the guy texted me one day coming from spring break. He went with his family to L.A., came back, and he said, I needed to, Coach, can I get in the building? I was like, why? I was like, it's 10 o'clock. Go to sleep. He's like, I want to get some work in. So next morning he sends me a message. It's 1-something in the morning, and he's in the indoor throwing with receivers. So like, the guy wants it. He wants to be great. But the players see that, and it's not a facade. It's not like I'm not trying to be this person. I want to be great, and I want to be a great teammate, most importantly.
The physical gifts are apparent. I mean, he looks like he could even play tight end. He's just a strong-built kid.
He looks like he could be an outside linebacker.
Could be, seriously. And you talk about his willingness to learn, but what about his capacity? Where is he at in terms of, is he a freshman in high school? Is he at graduate level? In terms of mastering the playbook and being able to lead an offense, where would you say he's at right now?
Yeah, I think he's ahead of schedule. To watch him in the summer and what he's done, and to grasp the offense and what he's done, it's been pretty cool to watch. But it's different when you get in pads and you got Derek Moore and TJ Guy and those guys rushing in front of your face, and Jay Sean Barham blitzes off the edge. So we'll see what happens when we get to training camp.
We know there are things that you want to have this team being proficient at when you leave training camp. Are there any things from a head coaching standpoint that you want to use this training camp to get better at?
Yeah, I just want to hone in on situational football, situational awareness, just making sure every single situation that can happen from the start of a game to the end of the game that I'm completely honing on. And now we have guys that help us do that are always in my ear and then talking about that. And we talk about it every single day. Every single day we have a situational meeting about something, about a part of the game. So I want to be completely proficient, and I feel I'm pretty good, obviously, because calling plays as an offensive coordinator, you got to know the situation.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but I want to be able to do that on both sides of the ball.
I know you treat every opponent the same, but it is truthful to say going to Oklahoma is going to be different, right? Have you thought about what that experience is going to be like to you and how you're going to lead the team?
Yeah, I mean, I got that question a lot lately. Honestly, man, I tell you this, I love Michigan. I love everything about this place. This is home. So to me, and it's no disrespect to Oklahoma, like Michigan's my home. So to me, it's just the next opponent. It's going to be a great opponent. It's going to be a great team, but I'm all in on being a Wolverine.
I think the fans back in Ann Arbor are going to enjoy that answer. Coach, we got to talk about Max Bredesen because you bring it up. That's a great story that tells you exactly what you need to know about Bryce, the way what he talked about him, and maybe I didn't think I was going to like him, and of course that now I freaking love him. But Max is one of those guys that I feel like if you have him one of those in your locker room, it can change a lot of things, and his story is remarkable. Preferred walk-on. I mean, he's just done everything the right way and kind of really built his own legacy. He talked about his relationship with you and how he feels like he just knows that you genuinely care about him as a human being, which is why it's so easy to play so hard for you. What is the relationship there, and what's the unique attribute of that young man?
Yeah, I mean, I got a special relationship with Brady. Just the way he conducts himself, everything he does off the field is just exemplary of any student athlete you want. You know, gets outstanding grades. He works hard. You never have to tell him what to do. You never have to tell him to slow down. Yeah, you do have to tell him to slow down. You have to, embrace when you have guys like that. They're special. And I feel like I can go to anything with him, and he's going to make sure we sought out the answer for the team. And he's going to give you the best answer for the team, not for himself. And that's not how college football is now, not with the way the landscape is. So he embodies what we call team over me. I think our team does, and it's awesome to be around a guy like that.
Do we have time to talk about the tight ends?
Yeah, of course we do.
I'm just going to say, are you going to just
get a little nervous?
Go? We'll extend the show if we need to.
That's right.
Colson Loveland, I mean, first-round pick.
Yep.
That's a big-time loss, but I know you guys are excited about Marlon.
Yeah.
Also, the piece is Chip Lindsey, he runs a little bit of 11 personnel, right? So how do you factor in the tight ends to this offense, and what's the ceiling really for that group?
Yeah, I mean, really excited about Marlon Klein. Probably one of the freakier athletes on the team.
This is the top 5 fastest guy on the team.
Yeah.
Not just to the tight ends.
No, on the team. Like a guy that was in high school ran, I think, a 10.8 100-meter at 6'5", 250 pounds. He was 235 pounds, 25 pounds in high school. And, one of the top 5 fastest guys on the team, straight line. So he's an electric athlete. And it's just all about putting it together as a complete tight end. So feel really good about him. Hoed Hansen is a guy that flashed at the end of the year. Obviously Max. Jalen Hoffman is a guy that had a really good spring game and made some big plays. But guys like Deacon Tonelli and Zach Marshall are chomping at the bit to be great, and they know what the standard is in that room. And Coach Steve Kasula, who's our co-offensive coordinator and tight end coach, he does an outstanding job, really training those guys and then giving them the confidence to be that good. And I think that's half the battle too, is a mental game. So they really believe they're about that, and you can when you're in their room, they're a crew like no other.
You can't pick favorites, but I mean that's where you started this journey. I mean, you were a tight end coach. That was the beginning of this journey to head coach. So you got a special.
He's
spot
trying to get you to pick favorites.
Yeah, there is a special spot because I coached that position for 10 years. I coached that position even longer than I coached the offensive line or called plays. So for me, there is a special spot in my heart for that group. But now as a head, I love them all. So there's no favorites, but there's obviously an understanding that I coached that position for a very long time.
Jake, shameless.
Yeah. Got to do it.
Can't help myself. Right?
Coach, before we let you go, I do think about, it doesn't carry over what happened from last year to the next year, but you talk about confidence and how that is such a critical piece. What did closing out the season with 3 straight wins, especially over Ohio State and then Alabama in the bowl game, do you feel like it buoyed you guys, and can you carry any of that over into 2025?
I mean, I think again, like I said, it showed really the cohesiveness of our team. The Ohio State game's the one we work for every year. We work for all year, 365. So we're not going to shy away from the rivalry and what that's about and how much that means to us. So we're going to continue to work to continue that. But the Alabama game just gave confidence to a lot of guys that didn't play a lot of football. Andrew Sprague started at right tackle, and he hadn't played all year. Jordan Marshall was the MVP and rushed for 100 yards. We had guys like Mason Curtis and Brandon Hillman making starts as sophomores and redshirt freshmen in that game. So that was awesome to be a part of that, and to watch the confidence grow of those guys in that game is really what's going to hone us and push us into this season.
I feel like. Can I ask one more?
Yes, yes.
When leadership was such a big factor too. Like when this program, after the COVID season, turned around, I mean, it was just so apparent that the leadership was taken to another level. Yeah. What's your observation on the player leadership on this roster?
I mean, I think the guys you saw when you talked to Max and Derek and Ernest, they're elite leaders, and they're guys that not only are about it or talk about it, but they're being about it. And there's other guys on the team, TJ Guy, Jayshawn Barham, even guys like Gio El-Hadi, Greg Crippen on the offensive side of the ball. Jordan Marshall's a young guy, but he's a guy that wants to be a leader, that has that drive to be a leader. So to watch the guys do it on the field is great, but to watch them off the field and try to problem solve things off the field is awesome too.
Coach, we're looking forward to watching your team this year, and I feel like there are so many good stories. I know everybody's excited to be there for camp. If there was one guy who, I know we've talked about a lot of different guys, but is there one guy that maybe we should make sure we keep our eye on next year that you haven't talked about?
Yeah, probably the guy that nobody is talking about is Cole Sullivan. Linebacker, probably one of the freakier athletes on the team. 6'5", I think he's like 240 pounds now. He's going to play linebacker and edge. He could probably play edge right now, but he plays linebacker. He's an absolute freak show. Nobody talks about him. You walk in the room, you'd be like, who the heck is that guy? But he doesn't say much. And I feel like at every position there's a guy like that. And Cole comes to mind because I was literally leaving the building and I was walking and I saw Cole. But he's a guy that just, he looks like an absolute freak show. And he could probably play tight end. He's asked me to catch a couple balls. I've been tempted to, but I don't want to do that to Wink. But he's a guy that's gonna really go on the scene this year and have a great year.
Jake's going to be stumping for him. Yeah, I could tell already. I can hear it. Sherrone Moore, thank you so much for the time and the insight. We appreciate it, and looking forward to watching this team 146 this year.
I appreciate it. Go Blue.